This is be this has got to be. Oh my God, it's entirely too loud in my headphones. Listen. Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nate Smith. This is the first episode of Dear Queer Millennial, and let's get right into it. Look, okay, we're gonna open the Coke Zero. We are here. We are queer. We're exhausted. We're spiraling, and we are having a 30-year life crisis and starting a podcast. So, I listen. I bought a new mic, and I am feeling myself. I am feeling empowered to say shit that. What do you say? Well, I thought about this new idea. We're going to talk about being. Let me pull up my show notes here. If you're coming here for professionalism, you need to go somewhere else, because here we are rough and tumble. We are trying to make this work. We are it is low budget here. But what is Dear Queer Millennial? Well, it's a podcast where I, an esteemed doctor, talk about being a queer millennial. It is. There's a lot to it. And, I would say that my day job, I'm a licensed therapist, and I want to talk about mental health stuff. We're going to talk about pop culture. We're going to talk about all things queer. We're going to talk about all things gay and nerd, maybe some politics, but I'm not great at politics. I will probably get a lot of stuff wrong there. But anyways, this is here. We're talking about just the stuff that I couldn't find any resources about being a queer millennial. What is it like to try and make this work? We are a generation of people who come bridge a very weird gap in time. At 38, I can hear 40 whispering in the wind, just billowing down the interstate miles. I can see it right there as it comes down. The 40 is going to smack me straight in the face, and I am not ready. I owe a lot of student loans. I am barely making the mortgage payment, and I work so much that I need a nap. Like, I am at the age now where I am like, a nap by 2:30 in the afternoon is the way that I make it through the rest of the day, and then still go to bed at like 10 o'clock. Am I the only one? I don't know. So each episode is going to have kind of a topic about being a millennial. You're going to hear me banging my hands on this desk. You're going to, I don't know, and probably have a breakdown or two, but we will always have a Coke Zero here because there are a few joys in life that are as wonderful as that, and that Coke Zeros get me through a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what this episode is about. And the episode is Irene and her hobbies. Who is Irene? Irene is every millennial who is trying to fill a deep hole in their chest with hobbies, with stuff to do, right? Like, how many of you, and I don't, this podcast is trying to fill a hole in my chest, okay? Because I am trying to, I have so many hobbies. I have adult coloring books. I went through a Pokémon card phase. I have a Nintendo Switch. I went through an acrylics painting phase. I went through, all kinds of hobbies just to fill the hole, fill the void, try to make the time pass. And I thought that what a great sort of meta commentary about starting a podcast, because who doesn't start a podcast and just, I don't have any time to do this. I have so much going on. But hey, what better way to have a meltdown, to have an absolute, terrible time, and then post it on the internet. So why not? As I said, this and as a reminder, I shouldn't have to say this as a licensed therapist, because this is not a licensed therapy show. I am not giving you advice. Okay, you can't afford my therapy services. I'm just kidding. No, this is not therapy. This is not a substitute for actually getting the help that you need if you are a person who's struggling with mental health, because I have to say that side of things. But I do think that there are a lot of good kind of like tips and tricks and things that come out of mental health that can help just cope with day-to-day life, much less trying to manage major mental health stuff. So know that's my little disclaimer. Don't sue me. I am not liable for your mental health. Check out I'll put some resources in the show notes for what I think are useful for helping find a good therapist, find a good resource for your mental health. And we'll have an episode on mental health, probably a lot of episodes on mental health, come to think of it, because, that is one of the things our generation has gotten, I think, right, is we have done a good job of trying to destigmatize mental health. Now, obviously, there's a lot more work to do, but, nobody is a better therapy client than a millennial, in my opinion. So there's that. But anyways, I want to get back on topic here. So we're talking about hobbies. We're talking about why are queer millennials, even some of the most incredible art and some of the most incredible, like, the creations I have ever seen come out of hobbies, millennials trying to figure out ways to pass the time that aren't mired in this capitalist, structure of trying to feed the beast that is capitalism, pay bills, pay those student loans down. And so, what are we trying to do here? Well, so here's a good example. I created this because this is a fake thing here. Irene is a 35-year-old millennial woman who I'd like to think lives in the Midwest and maybe somewhere in Idaho, Iowa. Yeah, that sounds good. And Irene from Iowa is a woman who has no children. Maybe she's in a relationship. I don't know. Maybe she's in her early 30s, right? So she might not be yet settled down, but she's landing the plane and she has spent hundreds of dollars on calligraphy supplies. She was getting into her book girl era. She was feeling herself in Barnes and Noble, perusing the rom-com aisle, and we go through eras where, you've heard this. This is my podcast era. Welcome to it. And so we don't start hobbies, we start eras, right? And so why? What is that saying to us? And this is, by the way, these are my opinions. They are in no way endorsed by any institutions to which I am affiliated with, because no person is this disassociated other than me to make these claims. So know that these claims are mine and mine alone. So what is the deal with the hobbies though? Why are millennials so obsessed with filling our time? And I think a lot of it has to do partially is the generation. We don't have kids. Many of us don't have children. I don't have kids. It is easily able to fall into the capitalist trap of working too much. We're a generation who works sometimes 3-4 jobs and in the gig economy and all that stuff. And I don't know about, look, these are not hot takes. All right. I'm just trying to ask a question and then answer it. And is it late stage capitalism that's got us so pressed for other ways to occupy our time as to not fall into the trap of capitalism and working? Because I can tell you right now, I have many jobs. I've had lots of jobs, 4 or 5 at a time. And just to try to feel the hours of the day. And so are we knitting sweaters? Are we collecting Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Pokémon cards partially to fill our time? Yeah, maybe. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to at all. And I have an amiibo collection from over the years that I have collected that is quite impressive. That would tell you I have filled the hole with lots of things that have, oh boy, that is a dark hole that I can get into that. But essentially, it is a substitute for the other things that generations before us have filled their time with. And I say yes. I think so. I think it is more expensive now to have a kid than ever. It is, in some ways, the world is bleak. And some people are asking the question, do I bring kids into this? Do I bring children into a world that, I'm not so sure, stop the world, I want to get off. We heard that. I'm not so sure that's something I want to do. And so but you have to fill the time because it's either that or work, right? So, and if you, I don't know, I remember these old stories of like people from like the boomer generation and Gen X that were like, well, I worked and then I came home and to feed the kids and make sure you guys did your homework and went to bed, and I can't relate to that at all. Not at all. And so what happens when we don't have the same obligations as generations before us had? Well, hobbies. That's what happens, right? So you take up a second language. I mean, the number of people who have these incredible streaks on Duolingo, like just thousands of days in a row. Okay, first of all, I can't commit to anything like that. Y'all, I am currently in the midst of course, this is my podcast era, welcome, but also I have been writing, self-publishing fiction novels, right? Like just as a way to fill the time. Otherwise, I would be working or I would be, I don't even know, crying in a corner, spiraling. I don't know. What would I be doing? But trying to explore like the self-publishing world and writing fiction books under a pen name and as a way to pass the time. And it is awesome. I love it. But at the same time, at what point is it avoidance, right? And that sort of, or a substitute for community. I think that's another thing. So I was thinking about, right before I started this podcast, I was feeling, a little lonely, a little like isolated. And and then that helps, Nate, right? Just starting a solo podcast, that helps you feel with the isolation, right? Well, but let me tell you something. Nobody's a better co-host than me, okay, with myself, all right? So anyways, but these hobbies have a way of isolating us from one another. And is it a substitute for community? I mean, we are among the loneliest generation. Loneliness is like an epidemic. It's considered a public health issue in some countries. And so is it a way that we are separating ourselves? Is it a way to explore the inner world, but as a way to avoid the external world? I don't know. I'm asking big questions here. And I don't know that I have the answer to it. But the other thing I wonder about is it a way to cope with anxiety? Ooh, now we're getting into some real mental health stuff. That did not take long. We're about, 15 minutes into the pod and we're already talking about mental health stuff. Well, listen, you came here, you knew what you clicked on. If you've made it this far, stay tuned for that this BetterHelp advertisement. Just kidding. Good God, I have integrity. Okay. So, is it a way of dealing with anxiety? Well, maybe. I think we are an anxious bunch. I am, and I can't watch my husband back out of the garage. It makes me so anxious. So, and that's not his fault. He's a great driver. I just get anxiety because I'm afraid he's going to hit the side of the garage. I get anxiety that my garage isn't big enough for two cars. What kind of chaos is that, right? So, anyways, look, the intrusive thoughts sometimes make an appearance on the pod, and hey, they're not paid actors. So is anxiety a coping mechanism, or is it hobbies are a coping mechanism for anxiety in a lot of ways? Because I've always said, and I say this to the clients I work with, and my professional life, I say anxiety is energy in the body. It is either it's cognitive energy, it's like energy in the brain, or it's energy in the heart, like it's emotional energy, and it wants to get out some way, somehow, right? Or it's physical energy, right? And working out, taking walks with the dog. What are they? My stupid little mental health walk for my stupid mental health, right? And so coping as a form, hobbies as a form of coping is a completely reasonable thing to say. But the question I always wonder about is like, at what point does it become avoidance, right? And at what point is it? I'll tell you about. Here's another thing. It becomes about productivity. Has anyone done a hobby? I mean, Etsy has literally cornered this market. And tried to monetize it. Right, where you started maybe you do paint by numbers and they're so good that your friends or your mom is like, you could sell that. And then you think, let me open an Etsy shop. And next thing you know, you're selling, chainmail for Renaissance fairs and you're $5,000 in debt because you tried to open a small business. There's something about hobbies that you have to be so intentional about, that you have to be so careful with, that is it either leading to avoidance or you fall again into that late stage capitalism trap. I mean, this happened to me when I was working on the self-publishing stuff of writing my books, of like, oh, I gotta put ad space online, and I need to, oh, what is my, what are my Kindle unlimited reads this month? And oh, I made, such and such dollars, but I want to make sure that I'm breaking even, and blah, 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 blah. And it sneaks up on you because we live in this hustle and grind culture that is, it wants to it would monetize you brushing your teeth if you could. And that's somebody probably has an OnlyFans account who literally people pay to watch you brush your teeth like that. And listen, get that bag, girl. Okay. Like, I'm not shaming the hustle. All I'm saying is that being mindful of the question of like, at what point are we monetizing everything we do, even our coping skills, right? So monetizing our coping skills. So Irene, I would tell you this, Irene, I would say, if you were the caller into my late night advice show, which this is not, so don't even bother. Don't ask. There's no toll-free number. I'm not taking questions from the audience, but these are all fictional for purposes of demonstration. Okay. But if Irene did call and Irene said, hey, Dr. Nate, I'm afraid my hobbies are my hobbies are forcing me to avoid, or I'm getting anxious, and so I switch and jump around hobbies. And the question I'd be asking is, are you monetizing those hobbies? And if yes, what's going on with that? Why are you not making enough money in your day job? You not got enough side hustles? You're not driving Uber? You're not doing DoorDash? Like, what's going on that you need to make your hobbies money? Like, why are our hobbies the only valuable or legitimate if they're making money, if they're producing some sort of income or outcome? I guess, I don't know. And what is it? That would be the question I'd be asking. I'd be asking, what are you trying to do? Right. One of the things I think that's so important about hobbies is having something you're doing that you are not attached to the outcome. You are not attached to the end result. Why? Because it's not about the result. It's about the process of doing. Okay, yeah, let that sink in. You ready? That's what you didn't think I was going to be dropping truth bombs. You didn't think I'd be dropping the wisdom on the first day. Don't worry, you're going to get a bill. And I might put these podcasts behind a paywall. You don't know how I'm feeling. So you come back, you put it. You're doing these hobbies. You're selling these things. You're at the fair selling your wares and your crafts, and then you're going, I don't want to do this anymore. It's not fun. I used to get so much joy out of insert hobby here, knitting blankets, I don't know, churning butter and then giving it to friends as Christmas presents. I don't know, do whatever you want to do. But here's the thing. If you start attaching results to the end of it, if you start putting results, so if you do the thing you're doing and you say, this is my hobby and it makes me feel good and I relax, and then I'm, I don't know, going to sell it, but I don't want it. Then you find yourself not interested anymore. You're connected to the result. You're not connected to the process. The process is churning the butter. The product is the butter, right? So I don't know where I'm really in this like pioneer headspace today. So you are connecting yourself to the result. So you're not getting the same joy out of it, Irene. So Irene, put the butter down and get back to churning. That's what I got to say. That's what I say. So Irene doesn't finish hobbies because she just forgets about the process, the joy, the flow state, as it were. Okay. And so, dear queer millennial, stay focused on the process, not the product. Okay. That's what I would say. That's it. That's all. So that's it for that segment. I want to tell you a little bit about myself to kind of wrap this up, so you have a sense of what's going on, because you may have gotten to the end of this and went, what was that? I think I just watched a gay man have an absolute meltdown on the internet for 20 minutes. And you're not wrong, but you're also not right. Do you know what I mean? So I am I've been a counselor, therapist for almost over a decade, and I am a queer person who loves to talk. I got a mic now. I got a podcast mic. And what person doesn't, it is 2025. If I want a podcast, I'm going to have a podcast. You understand? And, and so who am I? That's, I'm obsessed with thinking about things. I mean, and maybe that's a millennial thing. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's that I need friends and this is my way of making friends with you. Maybe this is my way of connecting with the world. And because I think that us millennials are among the folks who need the most connection. Y'all, we're getting older. Okay. I'm almost 40. And you're going to hear me say that over and over again because I'm not okay with it. And not because of the reasons you think, not because I'm worried about aging. I think millennials are aging well. It's not because I'm worried about getting older and dying, because that is a whole, ooh, we should talk about that. Millennials and dying. Oh, that would be a great episode. No, it's because I want to make sure that I am doing the stuff I want to do. Okay. Am I living the life that I want to live? And so at 40, you start going, holy shit, I just lived 40 years. That was a whole ass. I mean, in the pioneer days, people were dying by in their early 30s, late 20s. Okay. And I made it to 40. No, I'm not there yet. Okay, girl, put away the candles, put away the birthday cake. We're not there yet. But if I'm living, I'm going to be 40. And so you're like, this is crazy. And the amount of stuff that we as millennials have seen, I remember 9/11. I remember Saved by the Bell, the college years. Like, what was that? Let's just take a minute to process that collective trauma. Okay. And I remember Family Matters. I remember Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill. I do remember the secret track, number 13 on Jagged Little Pill. Okay. Yeah. That's it. If you know that, you're a real, you know what? So like, there's just we're living through the craziest presidency I've ever seen. I feel like I'm in a game show, really, right? Like this is crazy. I'm not getting into the politics. I am not getting into the politics of all this. There are people you can listen to who know that stuff way better than me. But all I'm saying is, from a reflective place, okay, put away your pitchforks and torches, all right, okay, is that we've lived through this craziest time in history, among the craziest times. Now, I don't know. I think probably the Vikings era was pretty crazy. That'd have been wild. That'd have been wild too. But anyways, like, we're living in this time where, I mean, AI, like, what is that? Okay, I remember the Star Trek: The Next Generation. Don't come at me with Star Trek William Shatner. I don't know about that, okay? But I remember about Star Trek: The Next Generation. That shit is real. It is almost real, okay? Like, Data, or like what I believe is sci-fi's first, like, I don't even know. I mean, I believe Data was the first representation of asexuality in sci-fi. I don't know that to be true. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me. Stop quoting me. Unfollow. Okay. But I think that we've seen so much with like AI I'm still trying to get my head around AI. Like, I play with ChatGPT, sure. Yeah. Who hasn't put in an aggressive email that they wanted to send their boss and then asked ChatGPT to rewrite it in a more professional tone? We all have. And if you haven't, you should give it a shot. It's very therapeutic. But what's crazy about AI is, like, you can see into the future with it. Now, right now, I don't know. It's good, I guess, for, like, Googling without Googling. I don't know. Like, I don't really understand how it works. I don't want to know how it works. To me, it's magic. Okay. Like, leave the mystery, keep the curtain closed. Right. But what I'm trying to say is that as millennials, our point of view on this timeline, on this MCU timeline right here, is so interesting. Like, we are among the most anxious generation. Okay. Now, and there's a couple of reasons why that could be true. Like, we could be there could be other more anxious generations, because I'll tell you, I'd be pretty freaking anxious if I had to fight in World War II. Let me just say that. The draft, like, I would be a walking panic attack. Like, if somebody put my name in the draft and was like, Nate, you just want an all expense paid trip to Korea or to Vietnam or to Normandy or whatever, I would be flipping out. Do you understand? But so they might have been more anxious than our generation. I don't know. But what I will say is, we're the most vocal about it. Okay. And Gen Z, we're going to do a whole episode on Gen Z, because I got a lot to say, and it's positive. I love Gen Z, but we'll get into that. But the thing I want to say is that for as destigmatized mental health is for our generation, okay, we are also the most anxious generation. For as we are among them. I mean, I was MySpace Gen. Okay, I had a top 8. I'm sorry, Irene. I took you out of the top 8. There's no rose for you. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. But I was thinking about how we're the most connected generation. We have to be, or among the first connected generation. Okay, I remember when Mark Zuckerberg was like wearing slides and like Cookie Monster pajama pants. Do you know what I mean? Not creating these glasses that Mark, I'm talking to you. I know you're an avid fan of the pod. Those Ray-Ban sunglasses are never going to happen. Okay? Nobody likes them. They're hideous. Meta AI is a flop. Okay? It is. And look, I don't care. You can come for me in the comments. Come for me. I live on your engagement. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Okay. But I remember those things. And in being a millennial, we have this really interesting perspective on the generations because I was raised by Gen X parents. I had boomer grandparents who were, when I was, 12, 11, my grandparents were in their 50s. Like they were not that old. They were still very energized. So like I kind of remember seeing these very siloed generations, and you're thinking to yourself like this is a lot. And and like I was there when like gay marriage was legalized, and like I was there. I grew up in Wyoming, so I grew up like I remember the day Matthew Shepard was murdered, which R.I.P. Like it was. I remember the Elton John concerts. I remember the major like consciousness shift. Like it is just so weird. So that is going to be the spirit of the pod, is to look at those things. Is it nostalgia? Yeah, probably. Okay. And what am I? This is a queer millennial trying to process the last 40 years of my life. So if you're in for that, if you are interested in hearing me loose associate, as they call it in the psychology business, if you're interested in hearing my takes on stuff, this is what it is. I'm looking back. I want to know, I want to remember, I want to process, I want to make sense of it, because I think about, this is the thing that is true about therapy, that if you talk about it, you can understand it. It's if we have words to the feeling of the thing that it is, then we can understand it. Okay? So that's what we're in for. That's what Dear Queer Millennial is all about. And if you like low budget podcasts with a mediocrely charming host, then you are in the right place. Although, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed Dear Queer Millennial for episode 1. Stay tuned, because episode 2 is coming right at you. I'll probably record it right after this. And what are you going to do about it? Nothing. Hopefully you like it. Hopefully you listen. God, okay, whatever. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you later.